Hi, my name is Danielle Armstrong. I'm the Student Engagement Coordinator here at Stranmillis University College. After one whole year off, we've decided to bring back Candid conversations with our students here who want to talk to us about their mental health. Today we are joined by Eva, who has very kindly agreed to come here and have a very casual conversation all about her mental health and the experience that she has had. So I'm going to let Eva introduce herself and tell us a little bit about the degree programme that she's studying and a little bit about why she's here today.
Hi, I'm Eva. I am a second year post-primary RE student, and I suppose I'm here today to just sort of explain that while mental health can be a struggle, it can be used for good and to help others. Because that's why I'm here, and I just hope to give some bit of encouragement in the mix of something that can be redeemed as like a struggle can be used to really, I suppose, bring good as well. So it's been a journey for me, but I'm hoping that by sharing today that I'm going to help some of you guys. So
Okay, and tell us a little bit about your experience with mental health then.
yes, I suppose it's kind of still an ongoing thing, but I think that's the thing about mental health is it never just reaches a point and stops. Like it's life is all to do with your mental health and how you feel. I think it's been a very rocky road for me personally. But it's definitely now looking back, I'm really thankful for everything that actually has happened to do with my mental health because I'm so much stronger because of it. I suppose it all started mentally for me was I suppose primary school probably, but even in primary school I didn't fully know what mental health was, so it was kind of I just thought I was maybe a wee bit like, oh, what's going on with me? Like, is this should I be feeling this way? I suppose I didn't really know the definition of mental health. If you get what I'm saying. But it's definitely been up and down. And I suppose the root cause of the mental health for me, it started in primary school. I was bullied quite a lot when I was in primary school. I was that shy kid when I was in primary school, so I was always kind of like trying to fit in, but I never really did because I never really, I suppose, got in with people and spoke. So I sort of found myself falling into sort of the wrong friendship groups, and I was always in those friendship groups of like the threes. You want to call it like the third wheel, I don't know. But I was always in like groups of threes, and sometimes people, and anyone watching probably knows, like if you're in a group of three, usually there's one person that would get left out more than others. So I was always finding myself, I don't know why, but I always found myself in the groups of threes. And so I think that was probably the catalyst for when I sort of started to realize that, okay, this is mental health and this is like my emotions. But then I suppose it kind of got when I fully understood what mental health was when I got to high school. I didn't enjoy high school at all. It wasn't the school was great, but just my like experience, obviously being a teenager, like being a teenager is hard. Like let's be real. But like teenagers, there's so much going on. And like even now, and from a student teacher's perspective, I really look and like, oh, that was me. Like when I was that age, like I fully see even watching different things and like, oh yeah, that's how I felt when I was younger. And it's really interesting now to see, like, I haven't been out of school-based work yet, but going into high school this year will be really, well, not I suppose not good because, if a child struggling, it's not good. But I suppose seeing like how I felt in someone else, it'll be really good for me to try. I'll understand that because of what I've been through. But yeah, so high school, I suppose again with friendships, I just haven't had a very good experience with friendships. That's always been a thing for me. But I was in that groups of three. Because I was in primary school, a lot of my friends in primary school they went to like a different high school than me, so I left. So I went from I was in Portadown, and then they went to Portadown High School, but then I went to Lurgan High School.
Okay.
So that's where I went. So I was going, I think one other girl went with me, but I was going by myself. Just sort of, I was also kind of just to get away from, I suppose, a fresh start sort of thing. Because I was like, okay, if I'm going there, I kind of just want a fresh start for myself. So hopefully it'll be a bit better. I mean, I suppose you say it was a little bit better, but but I suppose that was on the growth. But I got to high school, then I tried to make friends the best I could, but obviously me being shy, it was quite hard. I sort of just tried to go wherever I just felt there was an open door. So I did make friends with a couple of girls, but like looking back now, judging like the friends I have now, I mean, they weren't like, you know, when you say like true friendship, you know what I mean? Sometimes, especially when you're younger, like everyone's young, so you know, you don't fully know, I suppose, understand what true friendship is, if you get me. Like friendship is such a big thing, like it's such a big word, and like it's just people make mistakes, you're young, that's totally understandable. But I suppose I was in that group of three again, and I just always felt like I just always felt left out. I was always left out. I never felt sort of that whole time. So that was when I was probably 14, 15. That whole time I just never felt adequate enough to be with the friends I was with. And I just felt very, just always had to ask. I was always just walking, I felt like I was walking on eggshells sort of thing. And it was kind of like, okay, I have to be careful what I say here. I was just always so curious of every single thing I was saying. But that just went for everyday life, sort of, not even just around the people I was with. It was just sort of that thing within me, sort of identity wise. I was always anxious of what I'd say, or I was going to do something wrong. You know, it was just that one of the things as a 13, 14-year-old girl, I was quite anxious. But that was always me. I was always a little bit anxious and I suppose unsure of who I was, sort of thing. But I think that's quite normal for a teenager. You're just discovering who you are around that age, and it's quite tough. But that was sort of my identity crisis phase, if you want to call it that, 14 and 15. But yeah, I sort of never felt adequate enough to have like good friends, because I was always, and even if I did have good friends, I was always scared of, you know, the same thing happening again. So I had a lot of trust issues, I suppose, because of those experiences of when I actually got friends, like good friends, that there'd be something that would happen that I would lose those good friends again. And so that was quite hard. But I suppose year 10 is when things got really bad. Like the bullying was quite severe, and then I started to have suicidal thoughts at that point. Haven't ever reached that point again, which I'm truly thankful for. It was great, but for me to get out of that, definitely my Christian faith helped me through that time, and I'm very grateful for that, because I truly don't think I would have got through any other way. And so then that's when I actually realised, like, COVID happened then, and then I sort of COVID was quite a tough time, because then lockdown and those, so I got tied into a church, and those, I wasn't seeing those church friends as much anymore, because that was what keeping me grounded, I suppose. Going to, you know, those things outside of school, where I was in that environment where I truly felt like, oh, okay, these are like my people, sort of thing, and I just had never felt like that before, so I was like, oh, this is great, this is things you're looking up. And so to kind of step back from that for so long in COVID, it was quite hard, because I wasn't there every week, and I wasn't seeing these girls who I'd made friends with, who were keeping me, you know, grounded, and like showed me sort of what friendship was. And I didn't have that like insecurity around them, sort of thing. But it wasn't then until, and then I got into the college I wanted to go into, which was a grammar school, which I was really, definitely that was something I was very proud of, because I was a struggle getting through those exams, obviously going through all those things, but I did my like they didn't even have to do transfers because COVID cancelled them. But it was great. Some people were crying of happiness that day. I was ecstatic. But didn't have to do transfers, so that was good. But luckily I got into the college I got into. And so GCSE was, I suppose, where I truly made the friendships that were definitely true friendships. And I still have some of those today, which I'm really, really grateful for. And I suppose they actually showed me, like, there's definitely good people in there, you know what I mean? And I never felt left out around those girls, and I wasn't in like the groups anymore. It was just everyone was friends with each other, which I just really, really loved. And then so yeah, we had good friends, so everything was looking up. And then I was involved in church and stuff still, so that was really, really grounding for me. During GCSE time, GCSEs were, there was a lot of work going on there. It was, head down and no slacking. But lower six then was, I was about 17, I think. Yes, lower six is probably one of the hardest points of my life, I think. It was just very, I suppose you're looking into universities, and I always knew I wanted to come to Strand. Like well, actually, that's a lie. Sorry. I love Strand. But I wanted to be a nurse for a really long time, actually. Then that actually changed it. It changed, like, in lower sec. I was like, oh, I don't want to be a nurse anymore. I wanted to be a children's nurse, and then I was like, oh, I can't deal with seeing kids in pain. So I was like, no, you know what? I'm gonna be a teacher instead, because because of my mental health experiences, I'm like, okay, if I can help teenagers that were like me,
Yeah.
I will count that as like a successful job. Like, you know what I mean? I just kind of, from those experiences of my mental health, I'm like, I never want any other child to feel how I did. So that's kind of the root of why I wanted to be a teacher, was because I remember how I felt, and I just don't, like, I would never wish for a child or a teenager in the life of me to like felt how I did. And it's even worse now. Like, it was hard back then, but I know it's only gonna get harder for those teenagers. So I'm kind of just like, okay, if I can do that. And I didn't even want to be like a high school teacher. I wanted to be a primary school teacher, but now looking back, I'm like, I'm so glad that I sort of got into this course, because like I wouldn't have it any other way, because I get to actually, you know, put my feet in their shoes, or was that the right phrase?
Shoes in their feet. Feet in their shoes, yeah.
I don't know.
Me too.
But yeah, so I kind of get to walk in their shoes in a way, and I've been where they are in a way as well. So I think I'm looking forward to school-based work this year, because I'm actually in a high school, so I'll be able to sort of offer any sorts of wisdom that I kind of have. But yeah, so where was I? Oh yes, ASs. So I was when I was 17 or sick, I was then in a relationship. It was our first relationship, and obviously I was like, this is so exciting. I'm so happy about this. Like, it was great. Because obviously when I was younger, I was like, oh, I just really want someone to like me, you know what I mean? Because I never felt, I never really felt that.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, this is great, like, oh, yay. But I suppose, like, as I went on, it wasn't really all it was cracked up to be, sort of thing. And it just really proved a struggle, while also trying to do ASs at the same time. And I think there was a bit in that, there was a lot of imbalance, and it just wasn't, your picture perfect. But I suppose no relationship really is. So, you see all these things like online, Instagram or whatever, and like, oh, they're so, everything's great, but on the inside they could actually, everything's going to shambles. But that's kind of my situation. I felt like that whole time I was kind of losing my sense of self, rather than, gaining my sense of self. And I kind of, everything I'd worked for with my mental health was kind of deteriorating slightly. But kind of over that time, it was quite a hard decision, but so I decided to leave. It was one of the hardest decisions I had to make in my life, but I just knew that I had to really, for what was best for me and the other person, was to step back. Just so that we could both prioritize ourselves, because I knew that in that time we just both weren't in a good place. And now looking back at where I am and where the other person is now, I'm just really grateful for that experience and for the decision I made, because we're definitely both, from what I've seen, happier, which is good. But after I left, there was a lot of stuff that was connected into that relationship, and there's a lot of things I had to give up and sort of leave behind me because of that. And I had to sort of re-center my whole entire kind of routine and life, and some friends I had lost because of that. But yeah, so, and then while dealing with that, then it's kind of really hard, because everything I ever known sort of left me, kind of thing. I lost some friends. I lost quite a lot, actually. But I knew everything was kind of, I felt better, but also I was still losing things. But because I felt better about being sort of working on myself and trying to heal, it was like, oh no, this is going to be okay. Like, I can build myself up. Like, I've been through a lot. I got out of it before, so I can get out of it again. But then my eating started to deteriorate a little bit, just I think because of the stress of trying to pick myself back up and things. So my eating started to, it wasn't necessarily an eating disorder. I just knew there was something not normal about how I was eating. Like, it was just irregular. Like, it was probably about, I would just eat a really, really big dinner, and I wouldn't eat breakfast or lunch. It would just be a really big dinner. And I was like, oh, this isn't doing me for the day. Like, I wouldn't snack anything, just be, okay, this is enough. I wouldn't bring lunch to school, or if I had lunch, I wouldn't eat it. But then when I went home, I would eat a big dinner. I was like, oh, this is fine. Did I so it wasn't necessarily an eating disorder, I don't think. But yeah, I suppose. But then it's got back on track now, and I was able to, I made a really good friend. After that whole relationship, she really kept me going. It's like, you need to do this, you need to do that. And we became friends because of the situation, and which was very helpful. She was great at keeping me going and be like, no, this is what you need to do. And definitely, we're best friends because of that relationship ending, and definitely it was a really good experience that has come out of that. And I'm really thankful for this person because she helped me get my eating back and helped me. Like, I started going to the gym then, I started getting myself right because she was sort of helping me in that aspect. And I'm really not an athletic person. Me in a gym, crazy. But she got me to the gym, so that was pretty good. But I would have said, catch yourself on me in the gym. But yeah, so once I started going to the gym and started getting myself back on track, and then I suppose about a couple, well, I suppose like 5 or 6 months after that breakup, my mum and dad were splitting up. So that was kind of, I was still healing like from that experience and like navigating how to sort of get back to the norm again and how to like find new connections because I had to move churches as well. So that was kind of a hard thing for me going from this place where I've known for about 4 or 5 years to a totally new environment. I think anyone who goes to church will understand me on that one. It's quite, once you have a church, it's quite hard to like step back from that safe place, you know what I mean? So I had to find a new church, but I got connected into a new one and it's really, really great. But that was a hard thing for me to do because that was where a lot of my first experiences happened, in that church with a lot of friends, and where I found my first true friends and everything. So it was hard to step back from that. But I was trying to get used to that living, and then my mum and dad were splitting up. So that was also quite hard because while healing from that, I had to sort of patch up like, oh, okay, this has happened. Like, how do I, and I didn't feel, I started kind of, it wasn't necessarily a shock to me because obviously my family at the time wasn't perfect. My family, yeah, it was been a rocky road. But I suppose I wasn't sort of entirely shocked about the whole thing. So I kind of seen it coming in a way. But so I kind of had to be like, right, okay, this is happening. How are we gonna continue with this? Like, how do we navigate this situation? And so luckily I did have good friends around me at that time. They're like, oh, like this is okay. We can't understand what you're going through right now, but we're gonna try to help you as best as we can. So that was like the start of uni last year. That was like end of upper sixth, start of uni last year. So I was starting into uni while this was happening, and I was kind of like, oh goodness, this is gonna be a lot. But I was so happy to get into Stram because I was like, I knew people who weren't here. And I just loved the ethos of Stranmillis, and I was like, okay, it's going to be good. I'm starting uni. I'm not going to let this sort of ruin the experience of starting into this new chapter in life. So I kind of sort of tried to push it aside a little bit and kind of embraced getting into the way of uni. And I did. I was like, you know what, we're going to put that on the side still for now. We're just going to enjoy Freshers Week, you know. And I did. I soaked it up, and it was a really, really good week. And so I suppose I kind of pushed it all to the side for quite a while. And so I suppose in it sort of placement was quite a time for me because I loved being up in Strand. I lived in Strand Halls last year because it was kind of, when I came up here, it was sort of like a safe haven for me because when I went home, it was kind of, I was always reminded of the situation, you know. I obviously loved seeing my family, like my mum and my brother when I got home, and I loved them to death, but it was kind of just being in Strand with my friends all the time was kind of a way of me to sort of escape from that for a while. But yeah, so that's why I love Strand. And I just loved the ethos, the environment. There's so much fun stuff that happens, and the people here are truly great. Support wise as well. I made really, really great friends. Entering into my RE course. Given that wasn't even the course I wanted the primary course, but I'm glad I'm in RE now. But I made great friends on the residential, and we're like, truly I could not have asked for a better friend because they're so great. They just understand me like no one else. And we're just like, we hold each other accountable, and they're just like, they're just great friends. So don't be afraid to get involved with everything, because if I hadn't got involved with Freshers and all the residential stuff, I probably wouldn't have met those great friends and like just get. And I was a shy person before I came to uni. Believe it or not, no, I suppose if anyone watching this or anyone would say she's not shy, I was really shy, like, but I suppose I had to just push myself out there, because I knew when I got to uni, I was like, okay, I have to push myself out here and get involved. So that was a big thing for me, getting involved, and now I'm so glad I did that, despite being anxious about doing it. But yeah, so I suppose I kind of ignored it all for a while. And then I suppose during the end of placement time, I had a great, like my placement was great, I loved placement. I suppose exam time was kind of when it all started to creep back up, and that wasn't even that long ago. So I sort of found navigating exams quite hard, because obviously when stuff like this happens, it's a really long process and everything. And also the situation of how things happen was quite messy. So it was quite hard to wrap my head around that and how it happened, and sort of, yeah, it was just you have to process a lot when that stuff happens. So I was trying to navigate doing first year exams in uni. That was a very different experience because obviously they're not the same as A levels, and the routine's very different. While also trying to do stuff for placement, get those deadlines in, finished, and get the exams done. So then I kind of reached out. Well, actually, I asked for an extension. I got the extension. That's good. But then Ken Gibson, the past student support, he told me to get in contact with Claire then. So I did, and we met up and we talked, and Claire really was very helpful. She told me about how to manage. It was actually the first time I'd actually fully talked about what happened. Like I hadn't gone to counselling. I told my friends a bit, but obviously because of that sort of trust issues I sort of had, I was scared to sort of open up a lot about it because I was kind of scared that I don't know what I was scared of. I was just scared. But yeah, so it was the first time I'd actually fully sat down with someone to actually talk about, oh, this is the situation. I talked about I talked about the relationship that I was in, and I also talked about the parent stuff as well. And I suppose all of that together is the first time I'd actually just talked about everything, and how they sort of linked to each other, and how I was feeling when I went to Claire was sort of linked to both of those things. It was the first time I kind of got a wake up call. I was like, oh, this is what I have, and this is what is going on. But I was really, really glad that I did meet up with Claire, because she sort of told me how I do manage these deadlines, how we will continue with it. And she's like, okay, so you need to just reframe your mind. You need to just do this. Anytime you think you're not going to accomplish something, write it down. She gave me this word, it was reframe. And it was a powerful word. I still use it all the time. She's like, anytime you think in bad things, you just have to reframe. And so every time I think anything, I'm like, okay, I have to reframe. What is the best thing come out of this, not the worst? Because I would always think about the worst situation, not the best one. So now I'm like, okay, Claire says reframe, so I reframe. But that was very helpful. And then so I was able to get through my exams. Did very surprisingly well. So that was very good. Because I don't like exams. I would be very anxious over exam. No one likes exams, so I'm more of a coursework person. But yeah, so I got through my exams, did well. I suppose we're here now. And I'm very, very grateful for those experiences that I've had, because they've made me definitely a lot more stronger, because I would be quite a soft person. So definitely it's those past experiences have helped me make so many decisions today. And I'm so even I see it's hard to even recognize in yourself that you're strong, but I clearly know that I'm strong now, because I've had to make so many hard decisions in my life, and it's definitely those past experiences have helped me make decisions about the current situation that's happening, as well as my future ones. I know I've gone through that, so I can go through this and I will be okay, because every single time I've been able to pick myself up, usually without the help of people, but please get help from people, because that's my problem. I did not speak to anybody until the very last second, and I really regret it. So talk to people. Counselling can sound scary. I never did. You know what I did? I phoned the counselling service. Well, I actually did. I emailed, and I was like, oh, okay, can I meet up? Then they phoned me, and I just never answered the phone because I was freaking out. I was like, okay, no, I don't want to do this.
But that's okay, because sometimes people just aren't ready for counselling. And you have spoke there about how you went, first of all, talked to Ken, got the extension, and then you spoke to Claire. And sometimes you find that person that you feel comfortable with sitting down, having a conversation, and you might leave that room with what, as you said, that one key word that you said was reframe. And great. And so maybe from that's what you got. But just listening to what you've said there, the first few things you said was that you felt inadequate. You've always felt inadequate in everything that you've done. You felt inadequate in that group of 3. and you've sort of, this is something that maybe you've had in your brain for your whole life.
Yeah.
But what you're said there about Claire saying about reframing, and that might have came down to your assessments or your exams, but actually that implies to all areas of your life. And what you did say there was that you're in such a good place now, and that you feel like you are worth this, and you feel like you are in the right place. So from when we started this conversation about half an hour ago, you started off with those negative thoughts about yourself, and suddenly you've come in a short period of time, you've showed us that actually now you think more positively about yourself, and that you can see your worth. And really that's what we want all of our students to be able to do. And like you said, if there's somebody out there who's feeling so low, or they feel like they're just having negative thoughts at all times, it's about reaching out and having those conversations. You said there earlier as well that when you were in primary school, you were bullied and you suffered from poor mental health, but you didn't know what mental health was. And I guess what stuck in my head there was, as a young child, when you were in primary school, what do you think could have been done to help you understand that a little bit better? Because that's something, I guess, that we should all be kind of aware of, and our language that we use. And I think that does need to start with children. So what one thing do you think could have been done?
Honestly, like, I know it's a long time ago, like, I don't remember ever having a lesson in school on mental health. So I made it, my last lesson on placement was me teaching the kids about mental health and what it was, because I was like, when I was in primary school, I do not remember being taught anything about mental health. Maybe we did, I just don't have a good memory, but I just really don't. I even think like Made for More is great. That was one of my charities last year. They're so good at being able to, tell children about mental health and why it's so important and why they should look after themselves. And they do it in such a great way, like games and everything. Kids would love that.
Yeah.
And I think it's such a great way to be able to get through to the children. Like, obviously they're like for P1 to P7, like they're still young.
Yeah.
So they're not gonna still have like the full understanding of what it is, because it is a complex thing. Yeah. So complex, like it links to so many things. But I just think having one lesson, because it's maybe going to be in there at least somewhere within the kids, and like just even workshops, just the simplest thing, honestly. Like I don't know what else, but yeah. Just
but it's important.
Just a lesson, even.
But it's important to start that from a younger age.
I think P stage 2, probably like P5 to P7. Like I think I was in P6-7 class, so I think P6-7 is probably a really good age to do it, because that's when I sort of experienced it, was from like P5 to 7. Yeah. So I think key stage 2, like that kind of.
And what you said there a minute ago as well was don't leave it to the last minute.
Oh, yeah, don't do that.
and if we had this little tool in our toolbox from a young age that talk to someone, find that right person that will help you. If you understand that from a young age, then perhaps as you got older, you maybe wouldn't have left it to the last minute.
I think it was just because I was just an anxious person. I was just anxious to tell people, but just don't let the anxiety hold you back. Like that's just like, I was anxious right up until I taught, but anxiety is gonna be one of the things that's always gonna hold you back, no matter what. Like, so you're just kind of just gonna have to be like, right, screw you, I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna do something. Yeah. And it can be simple. Just literally, if you do have a good friend in your life, talk to them about it. Like, if you have a trusted person, that's all I'm gonna say. If you have a trusted person, do tell them about it. And if you can trust that person and they're gonna give you good advice, or even if you just want someone to listen, do talk to them. I'm happy for a chat if anyone ever does need to talk. But yeah, just a trusted person. Email somebody. I don't know. Student support. Yeah. They're great. They'll help you. Just talk to someone. Don't leave it, because I never did the whole time anything was happening. Never talked to anybody about it. So do talk to people about it.
Yeah. And since coming to Stranmillis, you said there that you're like a different person. Yes. You are no longer shy. And I mean, I think the fact that you're sitting here with me today.
Yes, I never thought in my life I would do anything like this, trust me.
Yeah. But that proves the point.
My mother will be like.
But that's so brave of you to share that story and to tell us where you've come from such a young age. And, for someone to be bullied and then to grow as much as you have done and to speak out is amazing. You said there about reframing, and I would just like to kind of end it on that, because I don't know if everybody would know what that means. So can you explain very briefly you said there, if you have like a negative thought, you turn it around, and Claire had said to you about writing it down.
Yes.
So what does it mean? How do you do that?
So reframe, kind of. So anytime I would think maybe negative things about myself or a situation, I would think, so I would think 3 positive things. For every time I think something negative, I would think 3 positive things. Right, so you're thinking, oh, I can't do whatever this assignment or whatever. I just be like, okay, what can I do to sort of get yourself a sticky note or something? Just be like, right, just brain dump it. Just be like, how, or journaling really helped me be able to reframe. I kind of just wrote down how I felt in that moment, and then kind of beside it, I would write, okay, what's the positives about the situation? Even just writing the positives about the situation helps. Like, it helps you so much to process that thing you're scared of or whatever it might be. It just helps you sort of make sense of it. And then if you're linking positive things with it, you're more likely to do the positive things than those negative things. There was on placement, actually, there was a thing on the bathroom wall, and it was like, for every bad thing you think 3 positive thoughts. And I was like, no, that's what reframe means. So I was like, for every bad thing you think 3 positive things. There you go. That's for me. That's what reframe means.
and so to end it, what I want to say is, you said some really, really positive things. Was that you find your church, and that was a good source for you of, you know, finding yourself and who you are, and a really good support. You said that you spoke to us here at Student Support, you spoke to Claire, you spoke to Ken, and you asked for help when you needed it. So you did ask for that extension without going, I cannot do this. You went, right, how can I change this? So that's when you did your reframing. You found friends that, you know, you said you're like your lifelines. You spoke to the people in your life that you knew were the right support. You went to the gym and you started eating better. And these are all things that we do in life to help us with our mental well-being and our physical well-being. And I guess that's what it comes down to, is looking after yourself. And whether it's a big thing or a small thing, and it is having those little tools that we can turn to, or coping mechanisms when we're feeling anxious or when we're feeling down. So I just want to say a huge thank you for coming and chatting to us today. And just to everyone, what I would also like to say is all the team at Student Support are here. If you ever need us, we are based on the 3rd floor of Strand House. You will see us because it's a very bright corridor when you're coming up. It's very bright, yeah. But you can also email us or give us a call, or you can reach out to us on the at Strand Support Instagram page as well. And you can talk to us about absolutely anything. And if you don't want to talk to us, we can give you the details for our Lena by Inspire counselling service, which is totally free for all of our students here at Stranmillis. So thank you very much again, Eva, and good luck with year 2. Thank you.